Today's story comes from the Am I the A-hole subreddit and was posted by Cold Blood and was titled, Am I the A-hole for kicking a girl off my airsoft team because she refused to comply with our rules? I am team leader of an airsoft team. We have an official statewide ranking, and there's a core of us who travel to play in national tournaments. I get that some people will think it's super dorky, but it's my passion and it keeps me outside, in shape and with my friends. We have a very strict military-realistic policy on our team in that we don't allow anime, video game stuff, fake swords, bright colors, etc. And if you want to be on our competition team, there's about $400 worth of uniform gear we require everyone to buy, so we look professional and coherent. Again, this is us, and people don't have to join our team. So to the point, last fall this girl Madison got in touch with me to say she had just moved to town and wanted to meet people and asked if she could come to our practice. Airsoft is like 95% guys, so it's not unheard of to have girls play, but it's rare. When she gave me her name, I was just a little curious, so I did a Google search and came up with her Instagram, and she was, and is, gorgeous. She's a literal model and a boutique girl with about 100,000 followers. I figured she was just screwing with us to come out and get more dude Instagram followers by showing she was tomboy who could play with the boys. I figured that one day and a few shots with airsoft pellets would snuff her out real quick. I'm not just mentioning her looks and Instagram to be gratuitous. It's important to the story. So she came out, and to my total surprise, she fucking rocked it. She's actually a really good player with a good sense for the game. In the last few months, she hasn't mentioned airsoft once on her Instagram. But needless to say, a girl that looks like her is going to get a ton of attention on the airsoft field. We had a team meeting before she arrived that we had to treat her the same as we treat the rest of us, and that we should have a rule for team spirit that no one try to date her. And I wanted to reiterate that we had to treat her exactly as we would any other member of the team, no exceptions. Everyone agreed with this, but even my oldest airsoft friends bend over backwards to be just a little bit friendlier to her, if that makes sense. There is no doubt that in a highly competitive sport that is 95% men, a hot girl is going to change the dynamic. It's not that I mind this at all, because she was really good. So my first big problem came with her just after New Year's when she came to the field with dyed bright red hair, all done up in these little ponytail things. I told her that because of team rules, she was going to have to cover up her hair with like a camouflage beanie under her helmet. She said it was uncomfortable and took it off in the middle of a game. I called her out on it, reminding her of the rules, and pretty much my whole team told me I was being too much of a hard ass and I should lighten up. Even other strays, people not on a team, and other teams at the field that day came up to me and told me to chill out. After 2 years of having these rules, everyone was all of a sudden mad at me because I was trying to enforce the rules we all agreed on. Because she is such a good player, we invited her to an out-of-state tournament coming up in March, but I reiterated that I needed proof that she was ordering all the uniform gear from the various airsoft websites, and it would be here in time for March. But after the hair incident, I think she thinks she can blow me off because everyone will support her, and she keeps telling me I'm working on it when I ask her. I mean, it's literally as easy as going on a website and ordering stuff. That's all there is to it. So things just got worse with her clothing, and she pays zero regard to our military realistic rule. And this past weekend, she wore a fucking belly shirt, and then was showing off all the welts to the other guys that she had gotten from being shot. She literally looked like a queen holding court with all the guys around her. I was so annoyed at her that I needed to talk to her. I reminded her about the military realistic rule. She said she was just hot and that she was sorry. I then asked her again about her uniform purchases. She said that she was working on it, but not to worry. It would all be here. I was so fed up at this point, I just said, look, I'm really sorry, but you just aren't a good fit for our team and you have to leave. Instead of getting mad like maybe I thought she would, she just broke down crying. Which means to everyone that was looking at us from afar, I was the mean asshole making the pretty girl cry instead of just enforcing the rules we all agreed on. Well, in like less than 5 minutes, she had invites to join 2 other teams. Pretty much everyone on the airsoft field came over to tell her how sorry they were for her and how I'd always been known to be a hard ass. And then my fucking team started turning on me. Of the 19 guys on our team, 5 quit that day, saying they were sick of my shit, and the other 13 said they at least wanted to have a meeting this week to see where we were headed as a team. Somehow a rumor got started that I had yelled at Madison, and that's why she was crying. So the owner of the airsoft field iced me for 3 weeks because I violated his no abusive language policy. I've known the guy for 10 freaking years and spent thousands of dollars at his field, and he iced me because of a rumor. This is how crazy this has gotten. I think everyone on my team wants to either kick me out of the leadership position or quit altogether and form a new team. To me, I was just enforcing the rules we all agreed upon, and we all agreed that we would treat her the same. I think everyone thinks I'm an asshole. Our team meeting is tomorrow night, and I would love to at least get some outside opinion on whether or not I'm an asshole, so I know how to go into the meeting. Thank you for reading. Verdict: no assholes here. Relevant comments. Mamau2D4 says, Info. At any point, did you warn her that if she didn't abide 100% by the rules, then she'd be kicked off the team? Hope replied, I have to be honest, and the answer is probably no. I may have, but I don't recall saying that exactly. Opie on the hair. I have long hair, but I put in a ponytail. The length of her hair was not an issue. The problem with her hair was that it was dyed bright red, and then she pulled like these little ponytails of red hair through the air vents in her helmet. So she had like 7 or 8 pieces of red hair flopping around. It's not the image we were going for. Nevercrumb says, why is the color of her hair an issue when your hair does not conform to military standards either? Hope replied, we don't have military standards by any degree, and I'm sorry if the way I wrote this is confusing. There's 2 schools of thought in airsoft. Well, more, but for this, let's say 2. One is the group that wants it to be like a live video game. They show up with huge foam outfits made to look like Fortnite or Final Fantasy complete with LED lights, swords, foam cutouts, Abhago eyes, you name it. Other are groups like ours that want it to be more military and only dress in military gear, but beards are cool. Long hair is cool as long as you are wearing what can logically be called military gear. And unless it's a tournament, we're pretty loose on this because people will wear jeans and Vietnam-era stuff, Desert Storm, etc. Tournaments we all want to match. Honestly, there's more of us than there are the first group, but on our team, we wanted there to be no mistaking that we were a military-focused team. I hope that clears it up. Snake Mud says, you're the a-hole. Look, I wanted to agree with you as I'm a pretty big airsoft nerd myself. But as much as I love the sport, competitive airsoft itself is hardly taken that seriously/very big in any aspect, and for what you described here, none of this actually happened at a tournament. But at normal local field play/light practicing, I get that you guys have rules, but these rules weren't invented for safety or to help save lives like camo requirements or in service. I think you should both talk and really nail that you would love to have her on the team, but when it comes to sponsor tournament time, where your team is in the spotlight, uniform rules are necessary and a no-brainer. Hope replied, honestly, you can maybe see this from my perspective. What would happen at your local field if a literal 10 walked on the field and was instantly friendly to everyone? She would change the dynamic quite a bit, right? Mamau2D4 says, okay, so your problem is that she's hot. Hope replied, my problem is not that she's hot. My problem is that her being hot changed the dynamics of everything almost overnight. Mamau2D4 says, you're the a-hole. You repeatedly talk about how skilled she was. Yet you kick her off the team for her appearance based on an arbitrary rule that only you seem to want. Edit. Additionally, you stayed in this thread. You didn't warn her she'd be kicked off. You have a ponytail too. Other guys have beards. The guys are allowed to break the rules and wear jeans instead of the uniform. The real problem you have is that she changed the dynamic. You told her she had until March to get her uniform, and it isn't March. You used the rules that you don't stringently enforce on anyone else as an excuse to get rid of her, plain and simple. And why did you wait until after the match to confront her about her belly shirt? It seems like the shirt wasn't the issue, just as she was holding court with your team. Update. Since people had things tonight, we agreed to meet over lunch, and all but 3 people agreed to show up, even among the people that quit outright. So including me, 16. I got to the office where we had it and was so surprised to see Madison sitting there. So that made it 17 people. The guy who's been on the team the longest basically said that in light of what happened Sunday, he would do the talking. This really annoyed me, but I remembered how much bad feedback I got here and didn't say anything. They started off by having Madison say her thing. I have to admit she was very rational, but she did start crying, which made me really uncomfortable. But basically her point was she just moved here for grad school. She didn't want to do the bar and club scene anymore, and she said she loved all of us for never asking her out or making her feel uncomfortable, and it was the first time she felt like she ever found a group of people, including her sorority, where people didn't judge her for her looks. I was like, sure, whatever you think, but come on. Anyways, she said she was really sorry for not keeping her standards, and she was just trying to have fun, and she's a girl, and doing crazy things with her hair or wearing pink camo is just in her mindset. She asked me if I would please consider if she could stay on the team. I was totally on the spot, so I just started out by saying that I was sorry, and I overreacted. But then I said I think it's best if I step down because it was obvious I take it too seriously, and if 5 people quit on the spot, obviously it was time for a change. But as long as I was still doing it, I was happy to have her back. So that lifted a huge weight in the room. So we got into more business, and it turns out that the reason Madison had not bought her competition gear is because she was reaching out to various companies using her Insta fame to get our team sponsored. She said the reason she didn't tell me anything because these deals are very tenuous, and she didn't want to let us down if they fell through. So she's still working on the uniform stuff, but she did get an incredible deal to become a representative for an ammo company. So starting with the tournament in March, we will have absolutely free airsoft pellets, which for a team of 20 people who play mostly every weekend is huge. She is starting an airsoft-specific Instagram, and she expects it will take off, and she'll get deals for the team. I'm literally blown away by her generosity, and I'm sure she'll make some income from it. But she's choosing to share with us after the way I treated her. But anyways, so we talked about more team business, and we decided that we would sort of split the leadership position in that we would have an administrator for day-to-day stuff, and that's going to be the guy who started the meeting, but everyone was happy with how I managed the team for tournaments. So I'll be in charge of all tournament-related business and conducted tournaments. We also agreed that we would dramatically loosen the uniform requirements for weekend local play, and Madison, or anyone I guess, could wear a pink camo or do her hair in bright red ponytail puffs as long as she was being safe, no belly shirts, but tournaments we would still have our team uniforms. So that is where we are. Team is still together. We get a bunch of free stuff and maybe more on the way. Madison is cool, but it was the first time a teammate hugged me after a meeting, but I guess we have to adjust to hugging and crying at our meetings. It's weird, but I guess I can stand to update my worldview. The second story is from Am I the A-hole subreddit. It was posted by Benetesqui and was titled, Am I the A-hole for wanting to attend my best friend's wedding? I, 28 male, have been with my partner, 26 female, for a year and a half. I've known one of my best friends, 27 female, for 5 years, and I'm also close with her fiancé, 27 male. They were some of the few friends I had when I first moved to a new city. They're getting married in another state, about an 8-hour trip from where I live now, and they asked me to be a groomsman. The issue is, my partner wasn't invited. They told me it wasn't personal, that other partners and even some extended family weren't invited either due to budget and space limitations. Since they've only met my partner twice, she didn't make the list. I honestly wasn't happy about it, because I wanted her to be there with me. I even offered to cover all of her costs, but they said it wasn't possible. They explained there's a waiting list. If someone drops out, she might get an invite. They apologized for the situation. It took me a couple of days to tell my partner, but when I did, she surprised me. She said she understood, even if she was a bit upset. She even offered to come on the trip and stay in the hotel while I went to the wedding. I told her that would be really thoughtful, but it wasn't necessary. A few days later, she brought it up again. She said after talking to her friends, they suggested a compromise. I could go to the ceremony, but skip the reception to be with her. I disagreed. I plan to spend my life with her, and we'll have plenty of moments together. But this wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event for close friends, and they specifically want me there to celebrate. I suggested we plan a special trip together afterward to make it up to her. Now she says that when we get married, she doesn't want to invite my friend and her fiancé, kind of as payback for the situation. But I don't feel that way. To me, if I can't invite 2 of my 5 closest friends, then what's the point of even having a wedding? I know my partner has every right to be upset, and she's under no obligation to sit around while I go to an event she's excluded from. But am I the a-hole for wanting to attend the wedding fully and still planning to invite my friend and her fiancé to my own future wedding? Verdict: everyone sucks here. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, Soft, you're the a-hole. You have best friends for 5 years and girlfriend for 1.5 years, and they don't know her? Doesn't seem to jive. Is this a long-distance girlfriend you chat with online or in real life? Oop replied, They moved states before we got together. My friends met my girlfriend only twice when they traveled here to visit. Commenter 2 says, Everyone sucks here. You were in the wedding party. That should have gotten you a +1. Your partner offered to travel with you and stay at the hotel during the wedding. You shot that down for no good reason. Now your partner wants to be spiteful and keep 2 of your best friends from your wedding. Nobody here is exactly covering themselves with glory. Oop replied, I didn't say that. I said that I understand if she doesn't want to come, but I would be very happy if she could travel with me and wait for me in the hotel. I just want to attend the whole wedding process, not just one part. Oop replied, I understand that was misleading writing. The context was lost in translation. I wrote this in my original language first, then translated to English. The original text was something like, I told her that would be great, but that she didn't have to if she wasn't comfortable. Commenter 3 says, Why would you post this to Reddit? Especially this sub. You'd have gotten the same result as you would if you made a group text of all your girlfriend's friends and asked them their thoughts. Of course, they're team girlfriend. They're almost never not team girlfriend. Oop replied, To be honest, I didn't have anyone to talk to while my girlfriend was talking to her friends. My friends were involved in this situation, and I couldn't talk to them. But I took something good from every opinion here, even the ones that were just offending me, lol. I could understand my girlfriend better, talk to my friends about how this wasn't okay, and find a middle ground so everyone is pleased. Commenter 4 says, If someone is important enough to be asked to be part of the wedding party, they're important enough for a +1. Period. End of story. This is basic etiquette. If you say you don't have room or can't afford it or some other bullshit excuse, you're planning your wedding wrong. Commenter 5 says, Everyone sucks here. And I mean everyone. Your best friends who think it's okay to invite a groomsman who has to travel 8 hours, but not his serious girlfriend. You for saying yes. Your girlfriend for already planning to use your wedding as revenge, and her friends for sticking their noses in where they didn't belong. Update. Around September of last year, I made a post on the Am I the A-hole subreddit titled, Am I the A-hole for wanting to attend my best friend's wedding? I eventually deleted it, not because I disliked the responses. In fact, they helped me realize I was wrong about several things. I'll explain why I eventually deleted it later. Quick summary of the original post. Last year, I, 29 male, was asked to be a groomsman at the wedding of one of my closest friends, 28 female. However, my partner, 27 female, of almost 2 years wasn't invited because the guest list was limited and my friend prioritized inviting people she was personally close to. I understood her reasoning, but it created a lot of tension in my relationship. I even offered to cover every additional expense related to my partner attending the wedding, but my friend explained that the issue was no longer financial. It was that the guest list had already been finalized, although she said my partner could be invited later if someone declined. I felt caught between 2 people I loved and ended up asking Reddit for advice because I genuinely didn't know how to handle the situation. What happened afterward? After reading all the comments, I reached out to my friend because I didn't want this situation to damage either my relationship or our friendship. I told her how conflicted I had been. I explained that I felt like I was being pulled between 2 people I loved and that I had turned to Reddit because I genuinely didn't know what the right thing to do was. I never mentioned anyone's real name, location, or any identifying information, but someone who recognized the story sent it to her. She was understandably very hurt. Reading hundreds of strangers criticizing her wedding decisions and calling her selfish or cheap was something she hadn't expected, and I completely understand why it affected her. People also sent me direct messages calling me weak, saying my girlfriend should leave me, and making all kinds of assumptions about my relationship. Neither of us expected that posting an anonymous request for advice would turn into thousands of people judging us personally. We talked for a long time, and by the end of the conversation, I truly believe we had worked everything out. She told me she still valued our friendship, still wanted me at the wedding, and asked me to delete the Reddit post because she knew she would keep coming back to read the comments and that they would continue hurting her. So I deleted it. I thought that would be the end of it. Instead, over the following months, she gradually disappeared from my life. She removed me from social media, left the group chats we shared, and stopped replying whenever I reached out about completely unrelated things. When she visited my city, where she had usually stayed in my guest room, she intentionally avoided letting me know she was there. After several months of silence, I eventually asked a mutual friend if something had happened. That's when I found out that she had decided I was no longer welcome in her life. She never told me herself. I learned it through someone else. I won't pretend that didn't hurt. She had been one of the people who supported me during one of the hardest periods of my life, when I felt like I had almost no one else around me. Because of that, I genuinely believed we shared one of the closest friendships I had. Looking back, I realize our friendship may not have meant the same thing to both of us, but eventually I accepted it and moved on. The positive side is that my relationship with my partner became much stronger. The entire experience forced me to rethink my priorities. I learned that it's important to value the people who consistently choose to be part of your life, instead of exhausting yourself trying to hold on to relationships that may no longer be mutual. We've now been together for over 2 years. We're building a wonderful life together, and I'm planning to propose very soon. Last month, I found out through mutual acquaintances' social media posts that the wedding had already taken place. Seeing those pictures made me think about everything that had happened over the past year. I understand why she was hurt after finding the post. I was hurt too, not only by many of the comments, but also by how everything unfolded afterward. But I still find myself wondering, was anonymously asking Reddit for advice really such a betrayal that it justified ending a 5-year friendship without ever telling me directly? Am I the a-hole? Frequently asked questions from the original post. Why didn't you want your partner to come and stay at the hotel? This was actually a translation mistake when I rewrote the story in English. What I meant was that I would have loved for her to come on the trip with me, but I also understood if she didn't feel comfortable traveling just to stay alone while I attended the wedding. No, I was never planning to cheat on my partner. Some comments somehow reached that conclusion, but it was never remotely true. What did you mean by saying, if I can't invite 2 of my 5 closest friends, then what's even the point of having a wedding? I was wrong. After reading the comments, talking to my therapist, and having several conversations with my partner, I realized that statement didn't make sense. The point of my future wedding is marrying the love of my life. Everything else is secondary. Ironically, after watching so many wedding horror stories on Charlotte's channel, my partner and I have decided that we don't even want a big wedding anymore. We'd much rather have a small, intimate ceremony and spend the money on things like traveling together.